Hello there, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to the World of Antiquity channel. Glenn is going to be our moderator today. Thanks for coming in here, Glenn. I appreciate that. The man in the myth, Dr. M. Thank you. Minnesota ready for some archaeology. Great, great. Where else are you coming in from? Victoria, Canada. Jack's from, of course, Rome. Washington State. All right, we've got people from all over here. Shout out where you're tuning in from. We still use that old-fashioned phrase, tuning in, or at least I do. Yeah, so how's my sound matching up with my lips? Is it okay? Let me know. Today we're going to be talking about the latest archaeological news, including ancient historical news. And what's the difference? Archaeology news is when they find something, right? This is just in the last month, what they have found in the last month. But ancient history news would be after archaeologists have found things. These could be documents, inscriptions, it could be ruins or whatever. Analysis is done afterwards. That would be like news, like new discoveries about things that were discovered before, but now they have to study them. So we'll talk about that too. Looks good? All right. I'm glad. We got someone from Berlin, Portland, Spokane. Somebody even from Atlantis, Sweden, California, Point Richmond, NYC, Alabama. Sorry, I don't mean to. I don't even know if that's an Alabama accent. Arizona. All right. Yes, I am wearing a t-shirt. Did you notice anything interesting about it? Notice anything interesting about this t-shirt? It's the only reason I'm wearing a t-shirt, because usually I wear my sport coat or something like that. But, yeah. World of Antiquity. History without the fan fiction. New t-shirts. This is the first time I've ever made t-shirts for the channel, but I do have t-shirts now. I've got mugs. Anyway, a company named T-Public came to me and said, hey, you want to make some merch? So I'm like, okay. I didn't even have to put any money down. Of course, they're taking a good cut. But the great thing about it is they're good quality. So below the video, I have a link to my merch. There's also a little bar underneath the videos usually, but for some reason these t-shirts aren't showing up on there, so just go to the link and you can see everything. Hawaii. All right. Mandy's from planet Earth. Well, some of us are not. England, Netherlands, Connecticut, Mississippi. Great. Good to see you all. Loved your part 1 of Dibble versus Hancock. Well, thank you, RZ. I got a little flack on that one, and it wasn't for the arguments or anything. It was for my thumbnail. There were people that were upset about the thumbnail. I don't know if you noticed that in the comments. And mainly because I'm not supporting human artists because I use AI. But I couldn't afford a human artist. That's mainly the reason. But I have nothing against supporting artists, and I encourage everyone to do so. And I will do so as soon as I can afford to. I don't usually need an artist because I just use photos for the thumbnails, but I wanted a cartoon of Flint and Graham in the boxing ring, you know? And it was just simpler to do that, but anyway. All right, well, let's talk about the archaeology news, shall we? All right, let me pull up the... Here we go, the first one. Some of you on social media might have saw I posted this a couple weeks ago. Complete toolkit of pre-Roman Dacian stonemason discovered. And I thought this was really interesting because how often do you get the toolkit of an ancient stonemason? Okay, Dacian. I don't know if you know where Dacia is. It was an area that the Romans ultimately conquered, and as a matter of fact, this is probably directly related to the Roman invasion of Dacia, which is in Eastern Europe, and above the Danube River, and there was a stone quarry there, and the stonemason left his whole set of tools there, and that's kind of how they date it. It's dated for typology too, but also because why would a stonemason just leave his tools there? You don't leave your tools at the quarry and go home. You have to take them with you because somebody's going to steal them, right? So why did he just leave them there? He must have been in a hurry. And so they're thinking, because the whole context is telling them this, that this is when the Romans were invading, and this Dacian stonemason left his tools behind to save himself, or something like that. It's in Romania today. Yeah. And so look at it. It was a limestone quarry, and these are the iron tools. Now the wooden handles are gone, but these are the iron tools that were used by the stonemason. And because, I never thought that when I made this channel I'd be talking so much about stonemasonry, but because a lot of the people in the alternative archaeology group like to talk about stonemasonry, and I end up talking about it. But anyway, here's some really cool tools. And these tools can even be used, well, we'll probably use replicas to do this, but we can, know the sizes and all that. You can check it with the marks on the stones and see what caused those marks. Well, it's great. It's great. So I thought this was an interesting find. And you can find out more information here. After the live stream, I will put all the links to all these articles afterward. I don't do it now because then you'll just go look and read it and you won't listen to me. All right, let's look at another one. This is something you may have heard of already. Okay, there's been work on this done before, but they're continuing to scan. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to turn on my ad blocker. So maybe I should turn on my ad blocker so we don't have all these ads causing us trouble, huh? Let's see here. Where's my ad blocker? Oh my gosh, is it no longer on here? Well, I can't install it now, it's too late. Okay, we're going to have to deal with it. I could have swore I had my ad blocker on here. Oh boy. Okay, forget that. X-ray reveals ancient Greek author of charred 1st century BC Vesuvius scroll. Now you may know that at Herculaneum there were found all kinds of charred scrolls, and no one was really touching them because as soon as you try to unroll them, they're just going to fall apart because they were burned. Okay? However, with new scanning technology and AI, we are able to decipher what is on the scrolls. Well, some more work was done here on this one, and they found that this particular scroll was a book by a philosopher named Philodemus. He was an Epicurean. I don't know if you know much about Epicureans, but Epicureans today, the modern way we use it is it's a pleasure seeker. But back in the day, it's an actual philosophy, and it means basically the way you make good decisions in life. I'm oversimplifying it here, but the way you make good decisions in life and choose between good and bad is if it feels good, that means it's morally good. And if it feels bad, that means it's morally bad. And they got accused of being pleasure seekers, but Epicurus would tell you, no, because you want the most amount of pleasure and the least amount of pain. This means living moderately, not just partying all the time. Living moderately is actually going to give you the most pleasure, and that's what you want to do, okay? But anyway, that's an Epicurean philosopher by the name of Philodemus. They found a scroll, and as far as I know, I got to be careful about this because I forget now. As far as I know, I don't know if we even have this work. We knew about it, but I don't know if we have a copy of it from before this. It's called On Vices. On Vices contains at least 10 books. This is only one scroll, so it might just be the first book. But I think we don't. I'm pretty sure we don't have it. Now, it's in terrible condition. There's no way we're going to actually get the whole book, I don't think. But at least we can identify it. So I thought that was a cool discovery. Don't you think that's cool? All right. All right, let's look at another one here. This is what you saw in the thumbnail. This is from Hungary. Ancient warrior elite, over 900 Bronze and Iron Age artifacts unearthed on Hungary's Somla Hill. And you can see a little bit of it here. Now, what these are from, they used, first of all, they had metal detectorists that went in there. Then they used LiDAR, and that's how they were able to find some of these things, and then they went in there and dug them up. But these are dated between 1400 and 900 BC, it says. Okay, the finds comprise jewelry, weapons, military decorations, and tools, and were buried in at least 6 hoards. And so you can see a bit of that here. Some of the metal artifacts dating to the early Iron Age are in this picture. Yeah. They already knew that this general vicinity here, the site of Somla, has archaeological remains, and that's known for at least 100 years, I think. Yeah. But they found some more things, so I thought that was really interesting. This is all published in Antiquity. When you get the link to this, you can click on the study here, and it will tell you all about it from a scholarly perspective. The newly discovered artifacts, actually, they date from 1080 to 900 BC, so they're very old. But there are some that go back to 1400. Yeah, so you can see a few spearheads here. Yeah, so anyway, I thought that was an interesting discovery. Yes, they are genuinely cool, GA. Would Dan consider X-ray evidence hard or soft? I think he probably would say hard. I'm not sure. The Epicureans were more like the cynics than the hedonists of today. That's true. That is true. Yay, my professor is back. All right, let's look at another one here. This is from South Korea. 1,400-year-old crown. Oh, man, these ads are going to bother me. Still decorated with insect wings. Yeah. Now here you can see it in situ. In situ means like still in the ground. Okay. They found a crown in here. And they didn't find this past month. They analyzed it and announced it this month, okay, about the insect wings. Now, if you're wondering what time period this is, I think it's actually, I said Scylla here, but I think they pronounce it Sheila. Anyway, it was around from 57 BC to 935 AD, it says, okay. And here you can see the crown in the ground. I don't know how the insect wings survived, but they were part of the decoration. And the reason they were part of the decoration is they're gold. All right? Here is the actual bug, okay, and what it looks like now. This bug was not found. This is just showing what kind of bug it is, okay? And, yeah, they took the wings off of it, and I don't know, I think they preserved it somehow in the crown. Oh, it doesn't say there. Let's see. The crown was found on the head of a person in tomb 120-2. They don't know who it is, but he was 5'7". Okay. Oh, yeah, maybe they don't actually say. I thought they had to have preserved these insect wings for them to still be there, right? Does it not say? No, it doesn't say. I'm assuming, I don't know what the technique was for preserving these wings. I'm going to have to go look that up now because I'm curious. But yeah, very interesting. All right. This is, again, another study. Okay, that was done on things that were already found. Earliest use of psychoactive and medicinal plant, harmal, identified in Iron Age Arabia. A new study uses metabolic profiling to uncover ancient knowledge systems behind therapeutic and psychoactive plant use in ancient Arabia. So here's the object that was found archaeologically, okay? And they're calling it a fumigation device used for the inhalation of harmal. And, yeah, the study shows that Peganum harmala, also known as Syrian rue or harmal, was used as a burning substance in Arabia as early as 2,700 years ago. People were getting high very early, everybody. Yeah. But actually, I shouldn't say they were, I mean, it's psychoactive, but they are assuming that it's medicinal. It was for medicinal. It's medical harmal, folks, okay? Yeah. It's known for its antibacterial properties and therapeutic properties. Okay? So it has been used in traditional medicine. I think it might still be used in traditional medicine. Yeah. They used to inhale it as smoke. So, see, this is the cool thing about how archaeology and science intersect, right? You find something in the ground, but then you can perform the scientific experiments on it, analysis on it, and find out more things. Sometimes archaeologists team up with scientists who deal with that. Sometimes the archaeologists themselves also do that kind of science. But, yeah. But it shows how far back the use of harmal was. 2,700 years. That's much older than probably what they had been guessing. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Is a fumigation device more or less a pipe? I think it's like more like incense or something like that, Jackie. The Cynics were very fun people. Some of the best comedy in history, says Mandy. All right. Archaeology is a science, says Raven. I know, Raven. I know. Yes. If you use the scientific method, you are performing science. Okay? A lot of people think that, well, if the answers aren't as clear-cut as in mathematics, then it isn't science. But that's not really the proper description of science. Okay? When you do deal with humans, who have free will, maybe, then you don't know what humans are going to do. It's harder to predict. It's more difficult to do the science, but you can still do science. Okay? They were hotboxing. Harmal gold, the sticky icky. All right, here's another one here, folks. This is from Vindolanda. I got to go to Vindolanda a few years ago, 2019, I think I was there, in a beautiful spot. It was actually my favorite of all the archaeological sites I visited in England. And this is in the north, and beautiful country. But they're finding new things there because excavations are still ongoing. So this was a new find at Vindolanda. It was announced on their website. Victory, the name of the goddess Victory, found, there she is, at Roman Vindolanda. Sandstone relief, part of a bigger relief. Fortunately, she's still whole, but you can see it's broken there. It's believed to be a representation of the Roman goddess of victory. It was reused in a pile of rubble above the infantry barracks. Yeah. In Latin, she's Victoria. Anyone named Victoria here? That's where it comes from. She's a personification of victory. In Roman religion, it's kind of interesting. It starts out as, regular polytheism, the gods of the various natural forces. But in a little bit later times, the Romans and the Greeks began to worship gods that were associated with qualities. They were personifications of important qualities that were important to them, and it was considered more sophisticated. And victory was one of them. I guess this would be Nike. Oh yeah, Nike in Greek. Yeah. These particular barracks were built at the end of a tumultuous time for the Romans in 213 AD, it says. So the victory relief would have been made before that. Yeah. So there you can see the archaeologist on site with it. Pretty interesting. Go to Vindolanda if you haven't yet. It's a wonderful site. What a victorious relief. It was a victory to find it, wasn't it? Oh, people are still shouting out where they're coming in from. Austria. Hexham, UK. All right. First coin to mention a Turk? Tashkent find sheds new light on history. So here's the coin. You can see it there on the left with an image. Bronze coin. It was found in Uzbekistan, and it's from the late 6th or early 7th century. And it has a name Turk Kagan. Kagan is a word that means a leader of some kind. And then you got Turk. Turk. Okay? Well, it's the oldest mention of a Turk in any inscription. Well, people already knew that Turks were around this time, but we haven't actually found verification of the word, the name Turk, and so here we have it. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah. According to Professor Babayarov, the coin was found among the remains of an ancient settlement near modern-day Tashkent in the historic region of Kach. Yeah. The discovery provides not only linguistic but also political and ethnic evidence of an early Turkic identity. This is the first time the term Turk Kagan has appeared on coinage, and it likely marks the earliest surviving physical mention of the word Turk. Maybe they're just guessing, but yeah. So this would be between 580 and 610 AD, it says. So, very interesting, I thought. Are your live streams always scheduled for the end of the month? Yes, I always do an end of the month archaeology news live stream, which is covering all the discoveries from that month. So this is everything from that was announced anyway in May. Yeah. Let's see. Any other interesting? Turks are still alive today. They mostly live in Turkey. Did someone not think that? Or did I give the impression that I don't think that? Yes, Turks are still alive. Yes. Okay, here's another one. From China. Ancient Qin and Han Dynasty tombs discovered in China's Xinjiang. If you're not sure when that is, the Qin Dynasty was in the 3rd century BCE, and the Han Dynasty started then and went until the 3rd century CE. So right in that period when the Roman Republic and Empire were around. Yeah. Archaeologists have discovered, by the way, there's not any good pictures here, it's just a discovery, but they discovered hundreds of ancient Qin and Han tombs in Toksun County near the city of Turpan in northwest China. Now this is out in the boonies, okay? Xinjiang Autonomous Region. Yeah. They say the burial ground dates back more than 2,000 years to key periods in Chinese history. I already told you when that was. Oh, it even goes back to the Warring States. Interesting. Okay. The site stretches across 10,000 square meters and includes more than 200 tombs. Now, of course, they're just getting started here. They just found the tombs. Now it's going to take years to excavate, right? The structures remain well preserved and are considered an important example of early communal burial practices. In this region, it was very common for people to be buried in a community, yeah, instead of just individual graves. Yeah, so it's also going to tell them about nomadic settlement patterns. Here you can see their post. Obviously, you cannot. There's not much to see in that picture, but yeah, they were nomadic people. They were nomadic people. They were not settled, and that's why you don't see a big city there. So that was a find from this month as well. Okay. Sutton Hoo bucket. Now here's the interesting thing about the Sutton Hoo bucket. There's been more work done in Sutton Hoo this year, and I announced something last month, I think, about it, but not the bucket. See that bucket? That bucket doesn't have a bottom. That's how they found the bucket. It didn't have a bottom, and they weren't sure exactly what it was used for. Well, guess what? They found the pieces of the bottom, and there was some residue on it. So they tested the residue. Okay, this is from the 6th century, by the way, this bucket, and it was imported from the Byzantine, that's the Eastern Roman Empire. Yeah, they found cremated human and animal bones within the base of the bucket. And they think the human remains belong to an important person. All right, so this is a cremation bucket, apparently, right? You can see the bottom of the bucket there, I guess. Yeah, there's the bones. Okay, human remains and a comb. Do you see the comb on the left? Yeah, this was in the bottom of the bucket. So this is what happens sometimes in archaeology. You find the part of something, and then a couple of years later you find another part of it. Yeah. There are even cases where there's like a sculpture, and you've got like the head in one country's museum and the body in another country's museum, and then they figure out, oh, this is the same statue, and then they argue about who's going to get it. Oops, this is what I get. All right. Animal bones that were found belong to a species larger than a pig. Horses were often included on early Anglo-Saxon cremation pyres as a sign of status. So it could be a horse. I guess there's not enough information from these bones to be able to tell what kind of animal it is. There's the comb. The comb was found unburnt, likely due to its being made from an antler. Pretty neat, huh? So that's the Sutton Hoo bucket. Yeah, time team. I was going to ask if you're going to look at the Bromwell bucket and bag. You brought it up. I brought it up? When did I bring it up? I don't remember. I bring up like hundreds of things, and I sometimes forget. Yeah. It's a shame it got plowed and ripped apart in the 80s. Yes, that is true. But why were there animal bones in a bucket for human cremation remains? It's part of the, apparently, the ceremony or something like that. Yes, part they do both. I don't know if it's like a sacrifice or something, but I'm not even sure if we know of all the ritual practices, but it apparently was part of the ceremony. Is there one massive database of artifacts, etc., that most archaeologists use and have access to? No. No one has done all the work for that. So what there are massive databases, but they're for separate things, right? So there's dozens of massive databases, but no one has really compiled everything together. I'm sure it will be done, maybe by computer. But, you know, somebody works over here on this site, another person works over here on this site. You need somebody to kind of do all that work, and not everyone does that. But some people are putting things together. You know, there's not even a good like website or anything where you can find like all the archaeological sites in the country. I saw one recently though for UK, but I don't even know if it's complete. So yeah, people need to do it. Yeah, probably a pyre funeral. Yeah, it may be that the burning was done separately, and then they put everything into the bucket to store it. Okay, let's get another one here. First evidence of Roman pig jaw funerary ritual. Okay, what is that? You never heard of this? Yeah. There's a Roman pig jaw funerary ritual. Okay, this is at the site of Tel Megiddo. Now, I don't know if you know about Tel Megiddo, but it's where we get the word Armageddon from, because a lot of battles were fought there. Okay, but there was a Roman military fort there that housed 5,000 soldiers. Okay, known as Legio. The site was known as Legio. Usually, you have Legio as the legion. Legio is the legion. But it served as a permanent base for nearly 180 years, from around 117 to 300 CE. So this was all published in the journal Atikot, and the discovery offered a rare glimpse into how Roman soldiers honored their dead through symbolic animal sacrifice and structured ceremonial acts. Okay, they found parts of at least 13 domestic pigs. The remains were limited to jaws, upper jawbones, and teeth. No full skeletons. Now, I think we already knew about this ritual, the pig jaw ritual, and the fact that they found only pig jaws suggests that it was part of this ritual. Okay, yeah, the sources already talked about pig jaw rituals, I think, or we found it elsewhere in other archaeological sites, maybe. I'm pretty sure we probably did. Yeah. The surrounding sediments indicated that the bones were buried during a single organized event rather than gradually discarded over time. So all these pig bones were destroyed at the same time. Oh, here you go. This is a pig sacrifice right here from some art from Pompei. Okay? Yeah, but this is a whole pig. The findings also showed a striking pattern. Lower jaws outnumbered upper jaws by a ratio of 3 to 1. Yeah. Some bones bore cut marks, indicating the pigs had been slaughtered and stripped of flesh before burial. Yeah. Pigs held significant value for Roman soldiers. Beyond serving as a major food source, they symbolized strength and masculinity. So the next time some lady calls you a pig, fellas, it's a compliment. Yes. Yeah, see, the presence of pig jaws in ritual contexts is not entirely new. They found some of this in Jerusalem, as a matter of fact. Yeah. You know how the ancient Jews felt about pigs, so I don't know if this was done as kind of like sticking it to them or whatever, but I have a feeling that it was just a practice that was fairly widespread. Okay, let's look at another one. This is translated, I believe, from German. Spectacular find in the ancient city of Nineveh. Now, you probably didn't know this, but Nineveh, was excavated a long time ago, right? In the late 1800s, I believe. So, what, they're still there? Yeah, there's new excavations going on in Nineveh, and new things are being found. See, you think, like, oh, they already excavated that city. There's more. There's more. So, this is a press release of what happened this year. So, it came out this month. Heidelberg University is doing the excavations here. They've discovered major portions of a large-scale relief with depictions of Assyrian deities. Now, when you see this, you're going to be like, oh, that's all I got. But they're finding more. It'll be published later, and we'll probably have more. But anyway, this is from the North Palace of King Ashurbanipal of the Assyrian Empire. This is the Neo-Assyrian Empire, so this is in the heyday of ancient Assyria, although he was the last of the great kings. So it's from the 7th century BCE, and you can see here the site, and in the middle picture you see a piece of the relief. Actually, this image here will show you a scan of it. Okay, you're right, there's not a lot here yet. Okay, King Ashurbanipal is depicted in the center, flanked by the god Ashur on the left, Ishtar, patron goddess of Nineveh, on the right. They're both followed by a fish genius. A fish genius, by the way. I covered this in my video on the Sumerian handbags, but this is Assyrian, of course. The fish genius is a demigod, okay? That is part of Assyrian mythology, but I do discuss it in that video. What 3 or 4 books would you recommend to get into archaeology for people that are fans of archaeology? Well, the first book that I would have you get, where is it? This is not the newest edition, but it's the basic archaeology textbook that all archaeology students, can you see it? I'm a little small on the screen here. It's just called Archaeology, and it's by Renfrew and Bond. It's like considered the best standard archaeological textbook. I hope I'm not offending any archaeologist who wrote a competing title. But it's a great thing. Theories, methods, and practice. It's not cheap. You know how textbooks are. But it's got everything you need to know. All the basics anyway, right? So if you want to get into archaeology, get that baby, okay? All right. I know you said 3 or 4 books, but I'm not an archaeologist, okay? So you can ask Flint Dibble, okay? He'll tell you. All right. I bet archaeology history graduate textbooks are extremely interesting. Oh, graduate school is so much more interesting than undergraduate. I mean, I think. Because you really get to explore, because you know all the basics already, so then you really get to explore things that you're interested in. Anyway, so this is the site of Nineveh. Expect more to come out of Nineveh. There will be more announcements. So, yeah. Usually the dig season is during the school year, right? And people don't like to dig very much in the summer because it's so hot. That doesn't mean there's no archaeological digs in the summer, because some teachers like to go on the, when they're off. But usually it's during the season. They'll have archaeologists will get a semester off to go work or something like that. But anyway, I don't even know what I was saying. I don't know why I was telling you that. But maybe because they might be done for this year. I don't know. The Dibble Hancock video was great. You treated them both with respect, even though one of them is full of it. Thank you very much. All right. A Roman wooden water pipe discovered in Leuven. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. But this is in the Netherlands, right? Leuven's in the Netherlands. I think it is. Archaeologists have discovered a remarkably well-preserved wooden water pipe from the Roman era. Look at that. Now, in my recent video, we're talking about how long does wood last. It depends. It depends. But would you believe a 2,000-year-old water pipe made out of wood is still there, intact? It's amazing. And you might say, why would they make pipes out of wood? Well, it worked, okay? But you might be like, oh man, I wouldn't drink that water. But there you go, a wooden water pipe. Oh, there's some real modern ones here. But here it is again. Yeah, so they're going to study this. The pipe is thought to date from the 1st to 3rd century AD, it says. Tree ring analysis will be used to determine the exact age. Yeah, you can do dendrochronology on this wood. You can figure out exactly when the tree was cut down. Oh, Belgium. Okay. Well, I'm kind of close. I should know that, right? Oh, man. I should know my geography. Yeah, Belgium. Sorry about that, Hercule. All right. Wooden water pipe, that is the last material I thought a pipe would be made of. I know, right? Surely they treated the wood with something. Probably. Jumping in late from France. Well, hello there. Hello. I think it was superior to Professor Dave's. Oh, the video? Much more objective and none of the gratuitous vitriol. We have different styles. That's for sure. These wood pipes are prone to hamster clogs. Did they have hamsters in ancient Rome? I don't know. Yeah. All right, here's another one. Britain's long-distance tin trade transformed the Bronze Age across Europe and the Mediterranean. So this is a study, a new study from the Archaeology Department at Durham University, okay, revealed that 3,300 years ago, tin mined in southwest Britain was a key resource for major Bronze Age civilizations in the eastern Mediterranean, thousands of kilometers away. Yeah. I don't know if any of you took my Ancient Explorers class I did last year, but we talk a lot about the tin trade and all of that, and what things were going where, and it is true. There were people from the Mediterranean that went all the way to Britain to secure this kind of trade, and like Pythias and people like that. So yeah, the results provide the first concrete evidence that Cornwall and Devon were major suppliers of tin for bronze production in the ancient world. So all the bronze that you see in the not all the bronze, but a lot of the bronze that you see, it uses the tin, because tin isn't bronze, from Britain. Yeah. For over 2 centuries, archaeologists have debated where Bronze Age societies obtained tin, a globally rare but crucial metal for making bronze. Yeah. And now we know. Okay? So this is pretty cool. I'll leave a link for this one too. Needs more tin cowbell. I've got a fever, and it's telling me more tin cowbell. All right. This is from Copan, which is in Honduras. It's a Maya ancient city. I don't know if you've ever been there. I've never been there yet. I'd like to go. Ancient skeletons unearthed in Copan reveal clues about the fall of the Maya civilization. So they did some genomic research. They took DNA from these skeletons. Okay? And one of the things they found was, by the way, this is Copan flourished between the 3rd and 10th century CE, during the classic Maya period. It was a big city. It was very important. But this study in current biology has shown that the elites of Copan are related to the Yucatan Maya people. Okay? So it's way over in Honduras. It's kind of on the edge of Maya civilization. But it is, they're related to the people from the center. Okay? They had deep genetic ties to populations in the north, particularly present-day Mexico and Belize. Okay? These interregional connections had long been hypothesized, but this is the first time they've been confirmed through DNA evidence. Okay? So that's pretty cool. So now we know, where. It doesn't mean the commoners are from those areas, but the people who were ruling were. Yeah. Perhaps the most striking discovery was evidence of a dramatic population decline around 1,200 years ago, which coincides with the broader downturn experienced by many other classic Maya cities during the late classic period. Yeah. So anyway, that's interesting. And there's another Maya one I want to show you. Ancient Maya blood cave discovered in Guatemala. I hate this headline. Baffles archaeologists. That's what they always do in these on these websites. Everything puzzles and baffles and makes archaeologists scratch their heads. That's how you get people to click on it. It doesn't mean that the archaeologists know everything about it, but they love just talking about how the archaeologists, they don't know anything. What is this? I don't know. But that's not exactly how it goes. So they found a cave in Guatemala. I think, they already knew about the site. Okay, they discovered an unusual ancient Maya ritual. Look at this. Fragment of a human skull found in Cueva de Sangre in Guatemala. Yeah. Archaeologists stumbled upon. They just happened to be in there in the cave, and they tripped over a log, and there was these remains. Yeah. Hundreds of fragmented human bones showing signs of injury. The discovery paints a chilling picture. The people here were sacrificed during the dry season to appease the Maya rain god, or parts of them were. Yeah, this is the interesting thing. He says, in Maya ritual, body parts are just as valuable as the whole body. So they're finding body parts. Now, what does that tell you? I don't know if people's body parts were cut off and they remained alive, or what. Like, did they kill them and then chop up the parts? I'm not sure. But you didn't have to give your whole body. People gave blood all the time. If you were Maya, you would often give your blood. Even the rulers gave their blood to the gods, They had very gruesome rituals. And so, also you could give body parts, I guess. A finger, toe, I don't know. Yeah. But they showed evidence of traumatic injuries around the time of death. Oh, so some of them were, I guess, killed. Yeah. So this was announced at the Society for American Archaeology meeting. A fragment of the left side of a forehead, I guess you can't really just cut that off and still live, had a mark suggesting that someone used a tool with a beveled edge like a hatchet on the skull. A child's hip bone had a similar cut. Both appear to have been made around the time of death, so I guess they did die. Yeah, so you can see some of the parts here. But hey, folks, you got to make it rain, right? Otherwise the crops don't grow and everybody dies, okay? Let's see. Baffle is one of those words that you usually find in New Ageist conspiracy videos. Yeah. Ancient pile of rocks bewilders archaeologists, leaves them in shambles. Yes. That skull fragment almost looked like an intentionally shaped arrowhead. Kind of. I'm not seeing you on Blue Sky, Doctor. I'm on there. I'm on there. Yeah, Dr. David Miano, I think. Look me up. I don't think it's an attempt at surgery. I would say probably not. All right, from Pompei. Pompei, they're doing work there too. Okay, you might think, oh, didn't they already do all the work at Pompeii? No, there's lots still there. Okay, but this is a Pompeii study, all right, based on things that have already been found. Archaeologists discovered bed wedged against a door of a house alongside remains of a child. Okay, so a family tried to blockade themselves in a room as they fought for survival in their final moments. New research has revealed. So this is a study into recent excavations. Okay, a scene discovered at the house of Ellen Friso, named after the mythological painting found in one of the rooms, has provided insight into how the inhabitants of the house tried to save themselves. Yeah. In an attempt to escape the volcanic ash piling over the city, the victims had tried to take refuge in a bedroom and barred the door with a bed. Yeah, archaeologists have been able to reproduce a cast of the bed after they identified the shape of the wooden frame in the solidified ash. There you go. Look, there's part of the bed right there. Isn't that something? I mean, there's nothing you could do, right? There's absolutely nothing those people could have done. But your instinct is to do something, right? They didn't make it. Yeah, in the end, the pyroclastic flow arrived, a violent flow of very hot ash that filled here, as elsewhere, every room. The seismic shocks had already caused many buildings to collapse. And they found at least 4 people. It's very sad. Scary. Yeah. The pre-classic Maya mural art at San Bartolo depicted auto-sacrifice being performed by a god. Oh, okay. Yeah. I wonder what the reputation of the Pompei region was during the early medieval locals. Must have had some haunted reputation, I'd imagine. I don't know. It's a good question. Preserved in time forever despite their best efforts. Yeah. Okay, here's another one from Egypt. New archaeological discovery in Sinai. The Sinai Peninsula, you know where that is, right? Yeah, let's get rid of this. The archaeological mission from the Supreme Council of Antiquities has uncovered military defensive structures and a residential area for soldiers at the Tel Abu Saifi archaeological site in North Sinai. So this is outside of Egypt proper, although Egypt in ancient times did control Sinai Peninsula for quite a bit of its history. And this is a fort, so it's basically on the border, right, with Western Asia. And look at it, it's a pretty large site, as you can see. The discovery provides new insights into the defensive infrastructure that protected Egypt's eastern borders during the Ptolemaic and Roman periods. So this is a little bit later. This is Ptolemaic is the Hellenistic period when the Greeks were ruling Egypt, and then, of course, when the Romans were ruling Egypt. So it actually wouldn't be when the Egyptians were ruling themselves. The excavations revealed a design of the eastern gates of both the Ptolemaic and Roman fortresses previously discovered. A large defensive trench, more than 2 meters deep, was also found at the entrance of the fortress. Look at that. Pretty cool. Yeah, so there's all kinds of pictures here. You can read more about that. Then we have an early Christian era mosaic discovered in Isnik. Now, I don't know if you know where Isnik is, but it's in Turkey. And Isnik is the ancient site of, anyone know? Nicaea. You ever hear of the Council of Nicaea? The first ecumenical council that the Christian church had in 325, I think that was. Well, this is the city. I got to visit Isnik. It's in one of my Turkey videos. But anyway, Pope Leo is going to visit there. And I don't know if they timed this because of that or what, but it's given them more attention. But they found a part of a mosaic, and you can see a picture of it here. Yeah. The city's still there. It's actually not a city anymore. It's just a small town. But there are all kinds of remains from ancient Nicaea there. It used to be a huge city. Now it's not much of anything, but they still have remains there. Yeah. Pretty cool. Look at, there's a boat. Ship. Anyway, so if you're interested in the history of Nicaea, you can check that one out. I'm still not used to the Turkey pronunciation. I know. I know people from there, and they don't care. One of my friends is just like, you can say Turkey, no one's gonna care. It was the government did it, But officially, the name is Turkey. Okay, so you just got to put an on the end. Cleopatra was the last ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty, for reference. Yeah. Cleopatra the Seventh. Yeah. African figurines made of Asian wood found in early Christian graves in Israel. Now, this is quite a mix, isn't it? Look at that. Okay. Now, this is Byzantine era tombs. This is from the Eastern Roman Empire. Okay. But it is believed that people from Ethiopia was a Christian country beginning in the 300s or so, and they probably migrated here. Maybe they came to the Holy Land to do a pilgrimage, and then they stayed here, something like that. But they found pendants representing, it's African art. Okay? It's a site called Tel Malhata. Yeah, in the desert. And they found these interesting pendants. Yeah. As well as pottery and other things. Okay. It's a necropolis. Again, most archaeology is in graves, cemeteries, tombs, things like that, because the cities, they get leveled and they get rebuilt upon, and they often get destroyed. It's hard to find those. But people leave the cemeteries alone. And that's why we get most of our information from cemeteries. Yeah. It seems that in the early Roman period, this place was even fortified, or at least boasted a plush fortified mansion. Yeah. Yeah, even Eusebius mentions this place. It was in the tombs of a woman, a child, another female burial from about 1,500 years ago that the 5 figurines were found. Look at this one. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. So you can read up on that one, too. Is there a Gulf of Turkey that needs updating? Is the figurine upside down? This one? Well, the hole's in the top there, so it would have hung. No, I think. See, there's a. I don't know. I'm pointing at it, but you can't see. But there's a. The face is right side up. That's kind of like hair up there on the top. Yeah. All right. A 2,000-year-old battle ended in fire, and a tree species never recovered. What is this? Yeah, this is from ancient China. And we have documents, okay, about what happened in this region when there was a war there and the forest burnt down. Yeah. There's an ancient forest hidden beneath the farmland of southern China's Pearl River Delta. Spread across 2,000 square kilometers are thick layers of waterlogged peat, now covered by agriculture. It's all that's left of what used to be a thriving wetland ecosystem. Home to forests. Am I yelling? I don't know if I'm too loud. You probably already have me turned down. Home to a forest of Chinese swamp cypress, along with elephants, tigers, crocodiles, and tropical birds. But the peat hides the buried, preserved stumps and roots of cypress trees. Yeah, some of the stumps are almost 2 meters wide. So they did a study here. This is basically, I don't even know if is this archaeology or I think other kinds of researchers are looking at, well, could be archaeology. But anyway, they're looking at the trees. Yeah. Wang and colleagues, where is Wang? I want to see what he is. Ning Wang of the Chinese Academy of Scientists. That doesn't tell me what he is. I'm not sure. Radiocarbon dated the stump's outermost rings to find out when the trees had stopped growing, and the answer is around 2,100 years ago, give or take about 70 years. It looks like the cypress trees died at roughly the same time as one another, okay? And that's right around the time of this historical record of a fire around 111 BCE. Yeah, The delta was home to an ancient kingdom called Nanyue. All right, and it rose to power around 204 BCE, just as the Qin Empire was beginning to crumble. A former Qin general, Jiao Tuo, took advantage of the chaos to turn a former Qin province into an independent kingdom. That's how it started. But then when the Han Dynasty came to power, they sent down there 100,000 to 200,000 soldiers to invade, and that's when the fire happened. So now we have evidence that it's true. Well, it doesn't say the whole story is true, but it corroborates the story. Yeah. Anything Mayan or Olmec suddenly is fascinating. Yeah, Jack. But I did share some Maya. You probably saw that. I got some stuff from Peru, too, I want to show you. I think that might be next. Let's take a look here. Yeah. Hey, wow. What is this? Groundbreaking discovery at Grand Pajaten? Pajaten? Am I saying that right? I'm not sure. Over 100 new archaeological structures uncovered. Look at this, folks. Okay? This is from something called the Chachapoya culture. Chachapoya. Yeah, isn't that amazing? This is in the San Martin region of Peru. And 26 they already knew about 26 structures, but now they found 100 new ones. 100 new ones. Who are the Chachapoya? Often referred to as the people of the cloud forest. Maybe you've heard of that? They thrived between the 7th and 16th centuries. Now, we're getting into the medieval period here, but I thought, 7th, I guess that's close enough. They built ceremonial centers, cliffside tombs, and agricultural terraces. Yeah. And this is their distinctive style. Isn't that cool? So I wanted to share that with you. I gotta move it along here. I'll share the link with you. And then also from Peru, I got two more from Peru. Human remains and offerings found in ancient city of Quail. Oh, actually, yeah, this is also Chachapoya. So the Chachapoya civilization. This is Quailop is one of their sites, and they found some human remains and offerings there. So it's related. Okay, and here you can see one of their burials. Yeah. They uncovered a Cholpa-style tomb along with ceremonial offerings. And this is a 6th century city located high in the mountains of the Amazonas region. Okay, it's 3,000 meters above sea level. Isn't that something? So basically they're saying that it tells us a lot about their afterlife beliefs and their rituals for burying people and things like that. And also, they said it could offer clues about how their families and communities were organized. See, you can use burials to determine that because oftentimes a community's burial system will reflect who was who when they were alive, right? What kind of structure they had in their society. So that's what they're hoping it will reveal about it. And then I have a third one from Peru. I do have a third one from Peru, but it must be later. Or did I already show it to you? I think it's later. We'll get to that. Okay. The Greek alphabet may be older than we think. What? Yeah. The Greek alphabet dates back to the 8th century BC. At least that's what science assumed for a long time. Okay. But now remember, this is just one study by one professor. Doesn't prove anything. Hey, thank you for the donation of $5. I appreciate it very much. The African figurine discovered was my favorite this month. Are you going to cover the genetic study done on the Phoenicians by the Max Planck Institute? Did I do that one last month? I'm not. Did that just come out in the last month? I'm not sure, but I'm not going to do it today. But it sounds familiar, like I may have talked about it already. I'm not sure. So anyway, the Greek alphabet, long believed to be from the 8th century, but now, maybe not. Okay? So this is one, Wilhelmine Wall. and he thinks that the alphabet may be older. New finds and insights suggest that it's older, having developed and spread at a much more gradual pace. A particularly interesting recent development is carbon dating. You all know about that. Okay. These dates indicate that the earliest Greek inscriptions found on pottery are at least a century older than was thought. They do not date from the 8th century, but from the 9th or even 10th century BC. Okay. In addition, the oldest preserved inscriptions are most likely not the very first texts written in the Greek alphabet. Yes, they are usually written on perishable materials. So it's mainly the carbon dating that's making him rethink this. Now, we have to see what happens here, of course. Somebody else has to check the carbon dating and maybe confirm that he did it right and everything. But could be at least 100 years older than what we thought. And you know what that would do? That would reduce the size of reduce the length of the Greek Dark Age when they had no writing, which is really only about 150 years long as it is. So, was there no Greek Dark Age? This could actually change a whole lot. So, very interesting. I'm going to keep my eye on that one. Archaeology in China is significantly politicized, and Chinese archaeologists often face layers of bureaucracy and ideological constraints that can impact progress and objectivity of their work. Drew, are you speaking from knowledge of this or something that you read online? It is true that the government oversees all of it, and there certainly are barriers. There's more government oversight of archaeology in China than in a lot of other places, although there are other countries that are similar. So I'm not trying to downplay what you're saying. I'm sure that is significantly politicized, but I worry that people will get into that conspiratorial mindset like the pseudo-archaeologists have, that, the government's hiding this and the government's hiding that about ancient history. When in fact, the current administration in China is much more open about China's ancient history. They tried to, Mao, for example, tried to put a lid on all of that, but that didn't work, So the current government there is very open about ancient history, and they have even archaeologists from foreign countries coming in to help and all of that. So it's much more open than it used to be, although there definitely is not complete freedom. There is freedom for foreigners to publish anything they want about China and to go to China and to research there and study there and then go home and publish anything they want about it. The Chinese government can't do anything about that, and they allow it. Okay. Egyptian archaeologists unearthed ancient tombs belonging to 3 senior statesmen who helped keep the New Kingdom running. So the New Kingdom period, in case you don't know, is approximately from 1500 to 500 BCE. And this is a place called Dra Abu el Naga, which is in the Theban necropolis. And I went right... Did I visit? I think I visited it when I was there in November, and now I can't remember if it was there or the place next door, but I think it was there. Anyway, but they found 3 new senior statesmen's tombs from the New Kingdom, and you can see a little bit of the artwork from the walls here. And this is for the nobles. It's right near the Valley of the Kings and the Queens. One tomb belonged to Amun. They spelled Amun wrong. It's not Amun. It's Amun. Amun Epet, who lived during the Ramesside period, 19th and 20th dynasties, and served as an official in the Temple of Amun. Here's the announcement. The 2 other tombs date to the 18th dynasty. That's the dynasty that Akhenaten is from. Yeah. One belonged to Baki, the supervisor of a grain silo. You might think, oh, supervisor of a grain silo. Yeah, okay, I guess that's all right. But it was an important position. And another guy was the supervisor at the Temple of Amun. Yeah. There's not a lot of pictures here, but there's a lot of ads, though. There's more ads than there are photos. New study disproves Roman massacre at Maiden Castle. Yeah, history is being updated here, folks. Okay, so archaeologists from Bournemouth University challenge the old Roman conquest narrative at Maiden Castle with fresh forensic and radiocarbon analysis. Yeah, so a study came out. This is the site right here. It's an Iron Age hill fort in Dorset. And yeah, there was a massacre there, but what they have found from the study is it occurred well before any Roman legions ever came to the site. So it wasn't a Roman massacre. At least that's what this study has argued. It's in the Oxford Journal of Archaeology. Yeah. Human remains previously interpreted as victims of single dramatic Roman attack were actually deposited over a timeline stretching from the late 1st century BC into the early 1st century AD. Whoa. So it's gradual. Yeah. Now, yes, people did die by lethal weapon injuries. They knew that. But these deaths occurred across decades rather than a single event. And here's some of the skeletons. So there you go. You know what's interesting? Mortimer Wheeler. Oh, I didn't know he was the one who came up with this idea. But Mortimer Wheeler also said there was a massacre at Mohenjo-Daro in India, and he was wrong about that too. So, there you go, Mortimer. Wrong on both counts. Yeah. Okay, let's look at the next one. I've got 4 more to show you, and then we have to end this. But 1,000-year-old mass grave in Peru. Here's that other Peru one I was telling you about. Shows victims bludgeoned with star-headed maces. Ouch. Yeah, so they uncovered a 1,000-year-old mass grave at the El Curaca site in southern Peru. So this is on the other end of the country. Revealing the brutal deaths of mostly women and children during a violent raid. So some outsiders came in and attacked. They show clear signs of trauma inflicted by star-shaped copper maces, shedding light on the violent conflicts that occurred in the region centuries ago. Yeah. Every skull showed signs of severe trauma, likely caused by mace heads or stone clubs. Despite the violent nature of their deaths, the victims were respectfully buried. So it must mean that after they looted the place or did whatever, they left, and then the people that were there who survived gave them a nice burial. Yeah. Oh, it suggests the community managed to repel the attackers and honored their dead with care. So it's a sad story. Look at that. Wow. So anyway, that's also from Peru, southern Peru. 2,000-year-old Roman origins confirmed for Elche's monumental La Suite de la Largamassa Dam. Yeah, did you know what? They thought that it's a dam, by the way. It's a dam. I guess there's not much water there now. That this was actually, they thought it was of Islamic origin. But recent studies now from the University Institute for Research in Archaeology and Historical Heritage at the University of Alicante found out that it was Roman. So the Romans built the dam. This is in Spain, if you were wondering. Yeah. Pretty interesting. It's pretty big. It was 130 meters in length and 4 meters high, and located near the ancient Roman colony of Iliki, present-day Elche. Yeah. Well, you can see a video of it here. So isn't that interesting? Okay, we always have to update. We always update. If you hear people saying, "Oh, historians and archaeologists, they're so set in their ways, they never want to change their mind about anything," we're constantly changing our minds. We're constantly updating. It's just that your idea is not a good one. Okay? That's why we don't change our mind about that. But we change our minds about many things. All right. This is the last two are not discoveries, but I thought they're related to archaeology and ancient history, so I thought I'd mention them. One is Egypt is thinking about making an underwater museum at Alexandria. When I was in Alexandria, I wanted to go scuba diving because I knew there were things still. I knew there were things still under the water, but it was so murky that you couldn't see anything, so I didn't go. That's what they were telling me. So anyway, they're thinking of making an underwater museum where you could actually see everything, I guess, through glass or whatever. I don't know. That would be fantastic. So I wanted to share that there could be, and I would fully support, an Egyptian museum underwater in Alexandria. That would be so cool. And then the other thing is this. Now, what are we looking at here? This is a recreation of the Parthenon, the innermost room of the Parthenon where the statue of Athena was. The great statue that Phidias sculpted with the gold inlay and all. Or is it inlay or overlay? Anyway, there was gold on it. And it was been reconstructed by an Oxford researcher, Wanda Lara. Okay? And basically, one of the points of this was trying to figure out what it would have looked like as far as the lighting is concerned. How would they have lit it? You know, where would the sun have been coming in through holes and everything? What about the any kinds of torches or candles they had in there? How would it have looked back then? You know, and this is the recreation of what they think the ancient lighting would have looked like within the Holy of Holies, you know, of the temple. And I think there's another image down here. Here's the room, and how big a person would be next to the statue. And there's some recreations of the statue. And here we go again. Yeah. You can all do this now with computers. That's what makes it so interesting. You could actually figure out what the lighting would be on the computer. So anyway, interesting. So I'll leave a link to that as well. Anyway, folks, those are the discoveries that I picked out for you to share with you this month from the month of May. And next month, I'm going to a wedding at the end of June, so it might be a little bit late. I might do the live stream on the 2nd or something like that. I don't know, but I'm going to be away till the 1st. So, but we'll try to squeeze it in. Okay, but I appreciate all your comments and people who donated, and just the fact that you came here and wanted to find out what was going on. It's always fun to find the new things happening and how discoveries are being made. So thanks for letting me share it with you. If you want to get this t-shirt, click the link below the video. I forgot, I also have a new course coming out if you're interested, and it's called History versus Hype, the Anti-Bunk Toolkit. And it's all about how to do history and how to separate fact from fiction when you're studying history. If that sounds something that you'd be interested in that, click on the link and it'll tell you all about the class. So hope you like it. Anyway, thanks so much. Appreciate you coming today, and we'll catch you next month for another live stream.